Hey mamas, welcome to today's workout. We are doing a 20-minute prenatal strengthen and sculpt workout. So we're gonna do half the workout with dumbbells and the other half on the floor without weights. We've got 50 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest for each exercise, and we're gonna get started with our first one right now. We've got a deadlift to an upright row. So feet underneath your hips, you're gonna hinge from your hips, take those weights down mid-shin, stand up, pull those elbows up and back for that upright row. So we hinge forward, lift, and pull. From the side, you're gonna come down with a nice flat back. Abs are tight, chin is tucked, and you want that weight back in your heels here so you can feel that work in your hamstrings. And then at the top, you squeeze your glutes, and then you're squeezing those elbows in, connecting those shoulder blades at the top. So we're working that upper back too. Now I'm using 10-pound weights here. You can do anything from 1 pound to about 10 is perfect. It's whatever works for you today. Keep that core nice and tight. That means belly button is pulled in toward your spine and you're bracing. You want to keep that on throughout the workout today. Let's rest. We're going to move to a sumo squat. You can keep your weight here or drop it. We're going to take the feet nice and wide and turn the toes out just a little bit. It's not a full plie, but you're wide with the legs. Weights hang down. We're going to squat down and stand up. So we're pushing those knees out nice and wide. Chest is lifted. And those hips are going back and down. The weight is in your heels, so you should be able to wiggle those toes. That's keeping that work back in your hips, out of your knees. And then you're aiming to go as low as you can. About knee level would be as low as I want you to go. But if you can't go that low, just work at your own intensity. You can always stay up a little higher, or you can always go without the weight too. Really pushing through those heels as you stand up, squeeze your glutes. When I get that whole lower body working here. Let's rest. All right, we're gonna add on. This time we're gonna do a sumo squat to a calf raise. So if you've got dumbbells, put one down for me. We're gonna squat and then we're gonna lift up on those toes. Here we go. Squat, lift. Squat, lift. So, weights reaching down. You could also take it up here to your collarbones if you're more comfortable there. You can see I'm lifting up on my toes. Now, you have two options. You can do that pause at the top before you lift, or you can take it straight into that lift. Make sure your hips are neutral so they're under your shoulders at the top, and you're not overextending into that low back. You're keeping that core braced. Driving out of those heels. This is really great for that whole back body and getting your heart rate up too. If you're in your third trimester like me, it doesn't take much to get your heart rate up these days. Rest. All right, we're gonna keep just one weight. Bring those feet closer together. We're gonna do a dumbbell wood chop. So we're gonna lunge and then take that weight up and across. We're gonna start on the right side. Here we go. So bend the right knee, take it up and across to the left. Lunge to the right, up and across to the left shoulder or the left corner, over the left shoulder. And you can see I'm bending my arms, taking that weight to my chest and then pushing it to the corner. And when you're in that lunge, I want you to rotate, pick up those feet. Knees to 90 degrees right here. And if you can't quite get that low in the lunge, no big deal. You can always do a little more shallow of a lunge. And this one's a good one to do without weight as well. Just a couple more seconds here, let's push. Rest. All right, we're gonna do the same thing, other side. It's a great cardio move too. All right, ready? We're gonna lunge to the left this time. Here we go. Lunge, take it up. Again, we're pivoting those feet. So they're to the side, and then we walk them across other side. Keeping that dumbbell really controlled by bracing the core. Again, your choice. You can go as deep in that lunge as you want to. But I want you to keep that chest up when you're taking that dumbbell to your knee. Don't lean forward. You want to keep that pressure out of the knee, out of the low back. Couple more seconds here, almost there. Rest. All right, we're gonna move on to a backwards lunge. So you can use one or both weights for this one. Feet underneath the hips. We're gonna alternate legs, stepping back. Let's do it. So we're keeping that lunge 90 degrees at the knees, just like we did for the wood chop, but I want a little bit bigger stride. So big step back, push through that front heel as you stand up, squeeze your glute nice and tight right here at the top. Again, we're keeping that chest lifted, shoulders back, core nice and tight. And you can see I'm moving pretty slow here. I don't want you to think about speed. I want you to think about range of motion. So that back knee goes almost to the floor, that front knee is over your ankle, and that front leg, front thigh, is parallel to the floor. Squeeze that booty at the top. Again, if you've got heavy weights, the slower I want you to go. If you've got lighter weights or no weights, you can go faster. Stop. All right, we're gonna move on. Curl, squat, press. Feet just outside hips. We're gonna do that curl first, so bicep curl, dumbbells come to shoulders, rotate, press, come and down. So now we're gonna add the squat. So we curl, squat, press. That's it. So we curl, squat, press. Now if you don't want to do the squat, you can just do the arms, but that little squat, do you see that? I'm using that squat to power my arms up overhead. Now you're gonna wanna rotate those dumbbells. Do you see how I'm doing that? Knuckles to the back right here. It'll feel really awkward if you don't do that, so you'll know. Bracing that core nice and tight at the top. And you wanna make sure those weights stay in front of you so you're not leaning back. You wanna keep that work out of the lower back. Nice deep squat if you can, all the way hips to the knees. Let's get one more in. Rest. All right, we're gonna take one dumbbell on the floor. We've got a single arm row. So I'm gonna show you this one from the side. Feet about 3 feet apart, anchor through that front heel. We're gonna pull the weight to the hip and that elbow comes straight back. So I'm leaning into my front leg. This is where 95% of my weight is. Knees soft over the ankle, chest up, abs tight. That back leg is your kickstand. So that's just for balance. You're pulling the elbow in tight, squeezing through your lats. That's this big muscle in the back right here. And you want a nice tight core here. Since we're leaning forward, we want to make sure that abs are braced so we're not compromising in our low back. This one will allow you to catch your breath just a little bit. Keep moving as slow or as fast as you want to. But again, the key here is control with that weight. Just a couple more seconds. Good work, guys. All right, we're gonna move to the other side. So just keep your feet where they are and pivot. Again, 95% of the weight is in that front leg. Hinge forward. Let's pull and release. So you should feel really strong and controlled right here. This move is great not just for your back, but your core, your glutes. You can feel that pressure in that front glute, right? The hamstrings, whole back body here. Stay strong and balanced, we're almost there. And rest. All right, we're gonna come with both weights to standing for a high pull. So we're gonna lift up onto those toes, pull the weights up just like an upright row to that lower chest. So we're gonna get the hips and the shoulders. Here we go. So we pull those weights up, elbows come up and back, and you can see I'm lifting onto my toes. From the side, I'm driving my hips under the shoulders and giving myself some momentum. So do you see that? That hip drive is what's helping create that momentum for the weights to come up. So we are working the shoulders, but a lot of that power is coming from the back body. This is one you could maybe go a little bit heavier on your weights if you want to try that. But again, if it's a new move, stay with lighter weights when in doubt, and you can always advance as we go. We're almost done with that strength portion. Let's keep going, finish strong. Rest. All right, we're gonna transition to the floor. Weights come down. You've got 30 seconds if you need to grab water. We're not gonna use any weights for this section. So just take your time, come on down to the floor, and we will get started with our strength portion. And we're gonna work full body, but especially we're gonna focus on that core, including the glutes. So onto the knees. Our first exercise is a hydrant. We're gonna lift one leg, let's say the front leg, bending the knee, take it up and down. Your hands are pressing evenly into the floor and your shoulders are staying over your wrists. Now you're lifting that leg up, but I want you to stop at the point where you start to shift your weight into the back arm and into the back hip. That's how you know that's your maximum range. And we want to keep those hips square to the ground and avoid that rotation or that shifting, so we keep that work in the core and glutes. Now throughout this whole section, we're going to keep that belly button pulled in toward the spine, abs braced, nice and tight. Keep pressing evenly through those hands. And I like to breathe out as I'm lifting that knee nice and high. Almost there, last one. And rest. All right, we're gonna add to this a hip circle. So we're gonna keep that knee bent like the hydrant, and then we're gonna circle just the hip. Here we go. So we're gonna circle around and around. Now you can go clockwise, you can go counterclockwise, whatever feels more natural to you. But you can see I'm keeping that knee bent, just drawing a little circle. That knee is never touching the ground. And again, we don't wanna exceed hip level with that knee. You can flex or point your toes here, whatever feels more natural. But you can feel that in your hips, right? If you've got like clicky hips, it might click a little bit, but that's okay. It's great for strengthening those hips and glutes, getting some mobility in there. And then the glutes, of course, are the biggest muscle in our core. So if we really want a strong core during pregnancy and after, strengthening the glutes is so important. Last one, rest. All right, we're gonna keep working that same side. We're gonna do a side plank hold. So this hip is gonna go down. We're gonna rest on the forearm, 90 degrees. Lift and extend that top leg. Reach the top arm up. It's under my shoulder. My fist is in front, so it's 90 degrees. And then my hip is in line with my elbow as well. I'm lifting that bottom hip, my underside of the waist. That's that hip we just worked. So I want you to do that same side because you're really gonna max out your glutes here. Now you're pulling your belly button in toward your spine, reaching up, feeling those obliques, the deep inner core muscles. It's great for your pelvic floor as well. Breathe, we got this. Last 5 seconds. Whew, nice work. All right, we're gonna stay on this side. Hang with me, we're almost done. This time we're gonna add movement to that side plank. We're gonna tap the hip down and up. Ready? Let's lift it. Up, light tap on the floor. Up, light tap. And you can see how slow I'm moving, right? I don't want you to just drop your hip and fall to the ground. I want you to move it with control. So you're using those glutes, you're using your core to really pick up that waistline. So if you're feeling it a lot in your shoulder, or you notice you're like, that ear's coming towards your shoulder, try to pull it away. Extend with that top arm and really lift from that underside of your waist or your core. We're getting close, only 15 seconds left. I know, this one is tough, but remember, it's not about how many reps you're getting in. It's about controlled and quality of movement, so you cannot go too slow on these, I promise. Last one. Woo, you ready to do the other side? Let's get it going. Back to those hydrants. So hands and knees, shoulders over wrists, belly button pulled in toward the spine. Let's lift that opposite leg now. Again, resetting, squaring everything again to the floor. Keeping that breath going. It's so important to work on your core during pregnancy. A lot of times we're just told exercises to avoid, right? Like crunches, planks, anything that puts excessive pressure on your core. But we're not told what we should do to help get our core strong for pregnancy and postpartum. If we neglect it, it's gonna be that much harder to regain core function postpartum. And I'm not just talking about abs, I'm talking about bladder control and just comfort. So anyway, that's my spiel, but it's so important to do these exercises. Rest, and for your labor and delivery experience, it'll make it so much better. All right, we're going to that hydrant hip circle. So you can go clockwise, you can go counterclockwise. Pretending you're drawing a circle with that knee, opening up that hip. And this one's great too because our hips get so tight during pregnancy, and usually tight muscles equal weak muscles. So if we want to get them stronger, we've really got to create some mobility in there as well. Almost there. Try to keep that leg up nice and high. Keep that weight even between the hands. Last 5 seconds. Good work, guys. All right, this hip is gonna go facing the ground now for that side plank hold. Elbow under shoulder, 90 degrees in line with the hip. Bend the bottom leg, straighten the top. Lift and hold. Pushing out of that forearm, lifting the waistline. I know, pregnant, this is a lot easier said than done. Trust me, I'm almost 34 weeks. I'm with you. It's tough, but it feels good to keep going. At least for me, I think I have a hard stop date when I have to have my second C-section. So I want to push till the end. I want to work out and I'm going to enjoy it and savor it, because even though it's really hard right now, I know I'm not going to be able to do this for a while afterwards, but I'll be back. 5 seconds left. I hope I distracted you with my talking. Rest. All right, we're gonna stay on that arm. Side plank hip dips. It's amazing how out of breath you'll get even doing non-cardio stuff. Lift that hip, light tap. Remember, we're going for control here, not speed, not quantity. Keep breathing through the reps. I know, I'm feeling this one. It's really hard for me to lift and not just want to like collapse into my arm, but just take your time, take additional breaks if you need to. I know 50 seconds is a long time, so there's no pressure if you need to take longer breaks or just skip a set and come back to it later. That's always a good option. Listening to your body is going to reward you the most. Good work. All right, we're gonna come to our backs now for a glute bridge. So, all right, heels close to those hips, and let's drive those hips up and down. So we're driving out of the heels, squeezing the glutes to the top. Now I want you to drive the hips high, but not too high. We want to feel that work in the glutes and in the hamstrings, the back body. If you're feeling it in the front of your legs, you're probably driving up through those hip flexors and going a little too far. So stop a little lower. Really squeeze that booty and keep it there. Now, if it's too much to stay on your back for a whole 50 seconds, I understand. Take your time. You don't have to stay the whole interval on your back if you're uncomfortable at this point. But glute bridges, if you can do them during pregnancy, even for 20, 30 seconds, it's gonna really benefit your pelvic floor and your deep core muscles. And rest. We're gonna do one more exercise, and it's a glute bridge. This time we're gonna stay up and we're gonna pulse it. In 3, 2, 1, here we go. So the pulse is really tiny. It's at the very top of that move. I'm gonna keep those hips and glutes working, core engaged. Good, nice and tight at the top. Trying to keep those pulses small, really keeps that burn in the glutes where we want it. Whew, almost there, you guys. 10 seconds left. I know it's hard to do this for 50 seconds, right? But it's the last one. Let's finish strong. And rest. Carefully roll over onto your side. Take your time sitting up. But you made it. You've made it through our 20-minute strengthen and sculpt workout. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hang with me for the rest of your pregnancy so we can get strong, stay strong, and recover faster postpartum. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you back here for our next workout together.